Welcome to the Tuesday Pitcher Nail Down. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at the arms on the bump tonight, and after a rain out, we got John Lester coming back tonight. So that kind of locks things up for me as far as cash games go. I know we were pretty sold on them already yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I threw my heart out to him yesterday, and obviously, things didn't end up working out with the weather. But yeah, again, I think today he's a great cash arm and someone you're looking to build your cash lineups around, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. And there's some other GPP names on the slate. And jumping right into things here, Royals and Yankees, Chris Medlin versus Masahiro Tanaka. Over under 7.5. Yankees big favorites here, minus 166. Royals team hasn't been really threatening this season. And I think, maybe, going back to last year, you look and be like, okay, I don't like Tanaka in this spot at home against a Royals team that doesn't strike out a ton. But overall this year, they strike out a little bit more. And overall, I mean, they haven't looked entirely great. So I think Tanaka is kind of playable as a GPP swerve.
He's definitely playable in GPPs, but again, you go back and forth, and on the outset, you say, okay, maybe I can use Tanaka in cash, maybe as an SP2 on DraftKings or something, but I don't know. It's tough to really play pitchers against this Royals team. They don't really provide much upside in tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely with you there. I just think he's a little bit cheaper than kind of guys like DeGrom and Lester. Like, I think there is a legitimate swerve that you can make. I mean, maybe he doesn't necessarily go 25 plus DraftKings points, but maybe he gets in that 20 to 22 range, which isn't bad.
Yeah, no, that's kind of where I see him hitting. So if you're comfortable with that, then fire him up. But I kind of see that as sort of his range of outcomes tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, if that's the case, then there's probably some guys later on that might be hitting that mark at kind of a cheaper price tag. So, and on the other side, Chris Medlin, I'm not really using him tonight against this Yankees team in Yankee Stadium.
This potent Yankees lineup? Question mark. Obviously, if you played last night, they pretty much went off for a full stack there. But obviously, you're not going to see that tonight. But I don't think you're trusting Medlin in your lineups either.
Yeah, definitely not. Next one here, you got Tigers and Nationals. Over under of 8. Washington minus 156. Joe Ross versus Fulmer here. Joe Ross, kind of an interesting GPP play just because the Tigers offense does have a fairly high strikeout rate, 24.4%. Ross is a guy who can mix and match his pitches. He's got that slider that works well for him, but kind of a deep GPP play if you're just kind of making multiple lineups tonight.
Yeah, and if you're kind of looking at this Tigers lineup, I mean, obviously one of their main hitters, Justin Upton, is really struggling right now. So, while it's righty versus righty, I don't know. It is an interesting tournament play, to say the least, especially at his price. But I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Probably not the strongest tournament play, but in play, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, Miguel Cabrera could be out of the lineup tonight. That would kind of shake things up for that Tigers offense that is really heavily right-handed. Ross kind of struggles more so with lefties. So interesting GPP play, but I think in that price area, there's some guys that I like a little bit more, but certainly a guy we're talking about. Fulmer, no thank you. I'll take a pass. I know this Nationals offense is bad, but still.
Yeah, well, we know he's going to give up 4 walks. Poor Bryce Harper, if you haven't been paying attention.
This next one here, Athletics and Red Sox in Fenway. Sean O'Sullivan versus Manea. Over under a 9.5. I want no part of either of these arms here. Sean O'Sullivan's a guy who's, if you played DFS in the past, he's been god awful.
I was going to say, I thought you were going to say no part of this game, and I was like, wait a second.
Well, hitters, of course. I mean, yeah. Roll up, but
I'm definitely looking at this A's group again. Some of them are pretty reasonably priced again. So definitely looking there, and obviously you're looking at this Red Sox lineup. They've just been dominant lately, and it's a good matchup for them. So, yeah, definitely looking at both of these offenses, but not touching either pitcher.
Yeah, definitely. This next one, Phillies and Braves, over under 7.5. Atlanta minus 123 favorites. Matt Whistler versus Adam Morgan. You kind of you tossed out Whistler's name before the show. He's coming off a very strong start. I mean, this is a guy who tough on right-handers, but struggles more against lefties. Philly's not a ton of potencies in that lineup. I mean, if he can manage, I mean, he came off a game where he went 8 scoreless against the Mets, who has a ton of lefties. So maybe there is something clicking for him. I like his price tag a little bit more on FanDuel.
Yeah,
he's $6K there. I mean, that's very cheap going up against this lineup. DraftKings is a little different. 7,900. He's priced around guys like Gausman and Conley, who have shown a little bit more consistency.
So, okay, let's throw it back to Joe Ross for a second. Who are you looking at in a GPP with your first? Who would you build a lineup around first?
Probably Whistler, just because it's the Phillies and he's at home in Turner Field there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ross is a bigger favorite. Mm-hmm. But still, I mean, the Phillies offense is definitely less daunting than the Tigers.
Yeah, that's true. I am interested by that line, though, as you mentioned. Minus 161 for the Nationals. So if you're looking for a win, maybe that's one way to get some extra upside out of Ross.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's been fairly consistent, too, when he's been getting his starts. So, I mean, I really don't mind him tonight, but
yeah, back to the Phillies, Braves. I just think that's an interesting one for roster construction on DraftKings. But yeah, and I don't know about Adam Morgan. Even with the Braves lineup, I don't think you can touch him.
Yeah, he's just a bad arm. You just don't want to roster that.
Sometimes even in good matchups, it just doesn't add up,
Yeah. This next one here, you got Pirates and Reds. There is some weather concerns in this one, which is a little bit disappointing. Over under 9. Pittsburgh minus 136 favorites here. Juan Nicasio would have been a great cheap GPP option, but weather looking like it's pretty iffy. 50% plus thunderstorms throughout the night. Gets into the 60s and 70s. So if things tend to clear up, I think Nicasio is an interesting SP2 option on DK there. You look at this Reds offense, who is starting to come around, but still ranked 23rd in WOBA, 22.5% strikeout rate against right-handers. So Nicasio is certainly in play because he's been in favorable spots against good team or bad teams and taking advantage of it.
Yeah, no, I like that call. I think he's interesting, and he's basically a punt play at the pitcher position. So something to look at there for sure. And on the other side, probably not looking at Simon here, huh?
No, I mean, I'll roll the dice on someone else with a 9.86 ERA.
Next time, Simon. We're not coming after you because we got a special spot in our heart saved for someone. But yeah, we might be slightly coming after you.
Yeah. This next one here, Brewers and Marlins, Zach Davies, Adam Conley, 8.5 over under. Miami, nice minus 158 favorites, and we saw Conley kind of really torch this Brewers team, and once again, he comes at a decent price tag, and I like that strikeout rate he brings. He's been, fairly solid this year, and I really don't mind him one bit in cash or GPPs tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that call. I mean, a Brewers team that isn't very, very strong. So I do like that call, and he's in that same price range as Ross and Whistler. So I think he might be the best value, actually.
Yeah, he's my preferred play out of that group.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just 26% strikeout rate this year, 10.8 swinging strike rates. So even though he does a pretty poor ground ball rate, 38, 0.84 home runs per 9. So obviously in that park in Miami should be pretty well against his Brewers lineup that, yes, are heavily heavily right-handed, but haven't done a whole lot against lefties this season.
Mm-hmm.
So on the other side, not a big fan of Zach Davies. I think I'll take some Marlins bats against him.
Yeah, again, I think this is another night that you can really look at stacking the Marlins again. I mean, Dietrich has just been on fire, so I think that'll continue, and obviously Stanton's going to get something eventually, right?
Yeah, I mean, you take that 3 strikeout performance yesterday, it happens. It's
take that in stride, and then, because, I mean, this is another good matchup for him, so I'd expect that to figure itself out.
Yeah, definitely. This next one here, White Sox and Rangers, Carlos Rodon, Derek Holland, 9.5 over under. Essentially a pick'em game, White Sox small favorites. I mean, we saw this game last night. It really didn't get going until the extra innings when Frazier went off and the Rangers kind of forced extras. But overall, this was a low-scoring game. I mean, these two offenses are very average. And so, I
Yeah.
mean, there is a possibility here, but uh, Carlos Rodon could be a guy I can back. I don't mind him just because the Rangers aren't that great against left-handers. I still don't like the ballpark. I still think maybe he makes one or two mistakes that kind of punish him because we saw that in the Sox game. And I think that's where it kind of I'm limited to. I don't want a piece of it.
Again, though, I think Rodon is another guy in that mid-range that kind of opens things up if you wanna go a big stack, maybe a core stack or something. Like if you can throw, especially on DraftKings, if you throw two of these 7K guys out there, I think you're looking at some pretty high valued players at the positional spots.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. And I mean, Rangers, 15th against left-handed pitching and WOBA, 20% strikeout rate. So, I mean, it's really a middle-of-the-road offense.
Oh, and Derek Holland, we love you, bro, but we can't do it, man. I tried.
Lacking against Toronto.
Yeah, but obviously he's not really in play for us.
No, definitely not. This next one here, Padres and Cubs, Cesar Vargas, John Lester. Here we go, John Lester yet again. There is a little bit of rain at the beginning. It looks like just a 32% chance of rain at 7. So maybe you get like a 30-minute late start. But after all that, it's clear for the rest of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And John Lester, his price gone up from yesterday on DraftKings. It's up to 12-2. So still, the cash game I'm paying up for. I mean, it just makes no sense not to.
Yeah, I think you have to, especially on FanDuel. Regardless of the price, he's just by far the best option and a great spot against the Padres. They're huge favorites. I mean, this is just everything you want. And as we saw with sort of a Strasburg last night, he got beat up early, both in hits and earned runs, and then if they have strikeout potential, they can even that out. So I think you're looking at worst case scenario, 20 to 25 points from Lester tonight. So that's cash game if I've ever heard one.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, he's been over 40 FanDuel points and All-Star but one. So, and as you mentioned, he's a must play there for me in cash. I mean, he leaves you with $3,000 left over at each position. I mean, that's definitely doable with the ace you're getting on the hill there.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Next one here, Orioles and Twins, 8.5 over under. Baltimore small favorites, -115. Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios. We talked about Barrios in yesterday's pod. I think now in today's situation, I've kind of less on him just because I like more mid-tier range options than I did with him.
Yeah, again, there was just not much to compete with yesterday for him, so he kind of slid into that mid-range solid option. But today, there's literally 4 or 5 guys that I actually like ahead of him in that semi-range. Obviously, he's a little cheaper, but basically the same range. I actually like Gausman here against this Twins lineup.
Yeah, no, I definitely do too. Taking a look at him against the Twins, I mean, Gausman's been pretty solid this year, and he's been keeping the ball in the park, which is nice. Kind of up the strike or the ground ball rate a little bit. You look at this Twins side, I mean, not that great against right-handed pitching, 19th, 23% strikeout rate, so I'm definitely looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
So this next one here, you got Indians and Astros, and we saw Kluber leave everyone with a negative last night. Chris Davinsky at home, 8.5 over under. Trevor Bauer. You were kind of like, I'm there. You couldn't take anyone against the Astros right now. You were leaning that way. They're just kind of your stay away team.
It's just too tough. I mean, it seems every night they're giving pitchers trouble. So again, Bauer's a solid arm, but I'm not sure I feel comfortable going up against paying $9K for a guy going up against this Astros lineup right now.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. That $9K price tag is really steep. FanDuel, it's a different story for me. 7,500.
Okay. That's not bad.
I think he's a true tournament risk, as we saw. But I just think any right-hander is going to be in play against the Astros in tournaments for me, just because he's the 26% strikeout rate. It's just that boomer. I mean, that's what gets you. And Bauer, he does walk a ton of guys, which you don't love. So definitely, it's going to be tough to stomach him probably. But he does have some upside. We saw it last year.
Mhm.
That strikeout rate is pretty solid, and if he gets everything going and can keep things in control, he'll be a decent arm tonight. But more so on FanDuel is just a one guy toss into a lineup and hope that goes off.
Right.
So on the other side, Davinsky coming off some strong starts here, but overall in this ballpark against the Indians offense, I'm not really in
No.
favor of taking him.
Obviously, it's not like they're a super strong offense, but they're good enough to keep a pitcher like Davinsky down. So I'm not touching him tonight in tournaments either.
Yeah, definitely. Coors game here. We'll skip along there. And
Bro, you don't like Ruby De La Rosa?
no, I don't. Or Russ and let's go. We're moving
I
on
know.
here.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Cardinals Angels over under of 8 here. LA minus 120. Hector Santiago versus Mike Leake. Over under here in 8. Pretty decent size for LA just because of that ballpark there. Not really a big fan of either pitcher here.
No, I don't see much upside here. I mean, obviously that A's lineup isn't what you want it to be right now, but I don't necessarily trust Leak right now, and I just think there's so many options in that 7K range on DraftKings that you just don't really need to do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think this next game is more appealing. Drew Smiley versus Wade Miley, and Smiley and Miley. I mean, here we go. I like Smiley. I like the strikeout rate he brings to the table. I mean, 31% so far this season. The swinging strike rate, 13%. So, I mean, he's been missing a ton of bats, and we're looking at this Mariners team that's, or Mariners team that's really struggling outside of Cano right now. And Ketel Marte's been heating up, but overall, a very subpar middle of the road offense. I think Smiley comes in that ballpark and throws another solid game tonight.
Yeah, I mean 10.5 Ks per nine for him since 2015. So you're looking at a pretty strong arm here, and against a Mariners team that doesn't really intimidate me too much. Other than maybe a Nelson Cruz might worry me a little bit, but the rest of this lineup I'm totally okay with rolling him out there.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And Wade Miley, I'm not really looking at him tonight. I know he's been somewhat serviceable, but on tonight's slate, there's not a ton of upside against this Rays team that ranked 9th in WOBA against lefties.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching him either.
So this next one here, Mets and Dodgers, Jacob deGrom, Alex Wood, over under a 7. DeGrom's kind of the odd man out for me. I like Lester and way more if I'm paying up. DeGrom just hasn't looked great.
Yeah.
The strikeouts haven't really been there. Something might be up with him.
Again, I much like all the pitchers that are strong arms that have been struggling this year, I think they're always worth a contrarian tournament play, just in case they turn it around. But yeah, I think right now, if you're looking at things and going through your process, Lester's the clear cash option, and I mean, definitely like him over in tournaments too. So yeah, I mean, DeGrom, maybe an SP2 on DraftKings as a tournament play, and maybe a YOLO FanDuel play, but you're taking a big risk there.
And it's not like the matchup is scaring me off because the Dodgers ranked 24th in WOBA. And, I mean, a pretty low ISO and a 22% strikeout rate. So, I mean, they haven't been great offensively. And you look at that lineup, I mean, a lot of their big names are starting to struggle again, and that's just a big issue with that lineup. So it's not necessarily a bad matchup. I like Dodger Stadium, but DeGrom just hasn't.
He hasn't been getting strikeouts. You know?
Yeah, it just hasn't looked right.
So probably avoid for now.
Yeah, definitely. And Alex Wood, no thank you. I can't get behind Alex Wood ever.
No.
This next one here, Blue Jays and Giants, J.A. Happ, Matt Cain, over under 8. You are once again on Matt Cain.
We're coming for Matt Cain again. He's just going to have to – this is like a Kobe retirement tour where he's just going out there and giving up 6 runs an outing. So we're coming at you with the Blue Jay stacks tonight, Cain. We're not going to call him Matt anymore. We're going to call him Cain.
What about J.A. Happ? Are you looking at him at all?
I think he's in play for SP2 on DK for me. He's not really in play on FanDuel, though. I don't trust him enough to to throw my one arm out there. But as sort of a tournament contrarian play, if you're making 20 lineups, I could see it working out 1 in 8 times for him.
That's not good.
Right, but if you're making 20 lineups, you take that chance with 1 or 2 of your lineups, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Jerk. So let me have my fun with Matt Cain, man.
Stack, you do the full stack. I know you like picking on Cain.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap things up here with the Pitcher Nail Down. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all great tools and content.